I asked you guys to submit questions for me to answer on this YouTube video on Instagram just the other day, and today I'm gonna answer those questions. About to get in the ice barrel. It's 20 degrees out, snowed a little bit last night. It is harder to do this in the snow, but it's not impossible. We're looking at 39 degrees this morning. Question number 1, tips for facing a longer weight loss journey, how to stay focused on long-term goals. Such a great question. Man, it's really bright out, I'll face this way. So the way that you focus on long-term goals, like a long-term weight loss journey or a long-term fitness journey, isn't necessarily about trying to chase this long-term goal. It's actually about changing your habits and becoming the kind of person that'll reach that goal naturally. You just change your habits on a daily basis, change the journey that you're on, and eventually you're gonna hit that goal. So for me, when I started CrossFit, it just became a habit for me. So at 9 o'clock every day, I went to the CrossFit class. That was it. There was no question, I just did that. And eventually my body started to change. It wasn't like I set out to change my body. I set out to go to a CrossFit gym every day at 9 a.m. And I enjoyed it, I loved it, I got good at it. And for me as a CrossFit Games athlete, I've been at the top of my game for a lot of years now. It's because my habits support what it takes to be an athlete at the top of my game in the sport, right? I get up, I don't even question whether I'm getting in this ice barrel or not. I do this. And then I eat a breakfast that's got protein and carbs that will fuel my first workout. Then I come home and I eat lunch that will help me recover from my first workout and help me fuel for my next workout. And I get some work done, I recover. Then I do my second session in the afternoon. Then I come home and I eat in such a way that it fuels the next day of training and helps me recover from this day of training. Those are just all habits. And I just do them without question every day. Long-term weight loss journey, long-term fitness journey, you just develop habits and routines that will lead you to that goal. All right, it's been 3 minutes. Time to get out. Here's a secret. I always get out, put my feet right back in to my Crocs. I don't want my feet touching the snow. No thank you. Get that lid back on there. Let's go inside and warm up. All right, next question. Do I see myself retiring on my own terms or because of injury? That's a good question. It's a tough question. I haven't thought about retirement. Honestly, as a master's athlete, one of the things I think that's really cool about being a master's athlete is that every 5 years, we are in a fresh new age group. And there's this cyclical nature to being a master's athlete, where at the bottom of your age group, you're kind of the youngest, you might be the fittest in that age group because of your age, which is really great. And then the next year it's a little bit harder, the next year it's a little bit harder, and then the last 2 years in your age group can really be recovery years if you choose to do that. So you could, in my mind, do this sport for a very, very long time. That's kind of my plan. I mean, I love this, and I am the best at the world in a very niche sport, in a very niche age group. But still, I'm the best in the world at something. And that's really, really a special thing. So as long as my body feels good, and I feel good, and I feel motivated, and I want to do this, I'll continue to do it. And I think that because of that nature of masters athletes being able to almost have a reset every 5 years, I don't necessarily see myself retiring. So I'm 48 now. I've been competing at the highest level for 5 years, and I have no end in sight. I would love to do this at age 65. I guess to answer that question, it would have to be injury at this point that would take me out of this sport. And the thing I'm trying to do with my program Boulder Athlete and for myself is think more in terms of like, where do I want to be in this sport in 10 years and in 20 years? I want to be healthy, strong, and able to continue to compete for as absolutely long as possible. And yeah, maybe when I turn 65 or 70, maybe I'll switch to a different sport. I don't know. Think about that. I'm at the gym getting warm for my session today, and the question is, how far into my CrossFit journey did I realize that I would be a top competitor if I put in the time and effort? I never thought that I would be a top competitor. This wasn't something that I was planning or expecting. You know, I was about 9 months into my CrossFit journey when I was invited to do a local competition, and I was super nervous. But I wanted to do it. I wanted to see what a CrossFit competition was like. And it was just a local competition in Castle Rock, Colorado. There was probably 60 or 70 competitors in it. And I loved it. I loved the competition. It was so insane to do like 3 or 4 workouts in one day. And I got 6th place. I didn't get last. And it was 6th place out of like 60. And these were not age group athletes. I was 39 at the time. So I was competing against like children out there, you know? And that's where I caught the competition bug. And I turned 40 the next year and I thought, man, I really want to try to make it to the CrossFit Games. So I trained really hard just to try to qualify. I trained hard, and year one, I wasn't very close. I wasn't even in the top 100 after the age group qualifier in year one. That's 40. When I was 41, I went again, and I trained so hard. I just wanted to try to make it to the games one time. And I think I got somewhere in the 50 to 70 spot range, and they were taking the top 20 those years. But I just wanted to try to get there. So it was actually that year that I changed my training and started training like a master's athlete, started training like an athlete that's not 24 years old. I started really focusing on sleep and nutrition, training appropriately, and man, I got lucky and I got to qualify for the games in 2018. So here's where it comes to the answer to the question. When I got to the games, I just wanted to do well. That's it. I just wanted to be middle of the pack. I thought maybe if I could be middle of the pack, that would be amazing. And I ended up getting third place in 2018. And that's when I realized, like, oh, hey, I've got something here. I can compete at this highest level. So let's see if I can give this a go. And in 2019, I qualified and I won. And I still felt a little bit like, gosh, maybe I got lucky in 2019 for my first win. Then in 2020, COVID hit. We didn't have a CrossFit Games. In 2021, I aged up to the 45-year-old division and was hoping to qualify for the games. And I won again. Then in 2022, I won. And it was after the third win, honestly, that I felt like, okay, I'm a top competitor. But it was somewhere in that range, that 2021 range, after I won my second CrossFit Games. That's when I realized that if I continued to put in the work and the time and the effort, I could be a top athlete in the sport. So that was 6-7 years into my journey, honestly. But there was no point before that where I felt like, gosh, if I just put in the work, I've got this. It always felt like I was trying to climb and chase and climb and chase. And honestly, I feel like that even still. But there's just no guarantees, I guess. There's no guarantees in this. There's no guarantees that I'll do well next year. In fact, I just competed at the Legends Championship. And while I was there, I was thinking, there's like 12 guys that can beat me here. I may not even make it to the podium here, and that would be okay. And I ended up winning. So it's a very careful balance between having a high level of confidence and a decent level of fear. I'm gonna jump into some training here. I've got every 2 minutes, 90 double unders for 10 minutes. It's kind of a warm up before I jump into a CrossFit Open workout. Time for another question. How is Pop's life so far? Well, that's a good question. And what does that mean? I became a grandfather 10 days ago today, and it feels absolutely insane to be 48 years old, be a grandfather. But my 25-year-old daughter and her husband had their first baby. And I met him, and he is amazing. I was actually sick last week, so I couldn't go meet him earlier. So I actually met him just yesterday. He's 9 days old, got a couple of pictures of him, and man, those little newborn nuggets are amazing. So ideally, I am not grandpa, I'm not granddaddy, I'm not grandfather, I'm hopefully Pops, but we'll see what this little guy wants to call me. Now, I'm gonna accumulate 4 minutes total time in each one of these static positions. Oh, it's gonna be gnarly. All right, protein and creatine down the hatch from Black Label Supplements. Question: how do I feel about having to spend thousands to go to Legends and have zero payout? I don't compete as a Masters athlete for prize money. There's just not enough money in prize money to make a huge difference in my life. I mean, you know, prize money can buy me a new iPhone, that's kind of fun, or a new GoPro. And sure, it costs thousands to go to Wadapalooza, or the Games, or the Masters Fitness Championship, or the Legends Championship. But there's hundreds and hundreds of athletes that go to these events and don't win. Does it make it any less of an experience for them to have spent thousands of dollars to go compete and not get a cash prize? And yes, I go and I win, and I won all 4 of those this year. And I got paid at Wadapalooza. I was the only person in my category that got paid. I think there were 20 athletes in my division. I took first place, I earned $2,000. At the Games, I earned $10,000. Second place gets $5,000, third place gets $3,000, I believe. At the Masters Fitness Championship, there's no payout. And at the Legends Championship, there's no payout. So yeah, I'm not competing to try to earn money. I'm competing because I love to compete. I love to win. I love to go to battle on the competition floor with the best athletes on the planet and see how I stack up against these guys. The reward is winning an event. The reward is like pushing myself and finding out that I can do more on the competition floor than I thought I could. And yeah, that's it. So I think that all of the organizations should be transparent about their payouts. Like, I didn't know if there was going to be a payout at the Masters Fitness Championship. I didn't know if there was going to be a payout at Legends. I know there's going to be a payout at Wadapalooza because it's clear up front. Same thing with the Games. So maybe there can be some more clarity there, but I'm still competing. I'm still going, and I'll still sell my soul on the competition floor to earn points to ideally stand on the podium and ideally stand on top. I'm good with that.
I want to give a shout out to Element for sponsoring this video. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. It contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio: 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. Electrolytes facilitate hundreds of functions in the body, including the conduction of nerve impulses, hormonal regulation, nutrient absorption, and fluid balance. When you sweat, the primary electrolyte lost is sodium. Athletes can lose up to 7 grams per day. When sodium is not replaced, it's common to experience muscle cramps and fatigue. Guys, right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Jason Grubb. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/Jason Grubb.
Headed back to the gym, and the question came up: what is my VO2 max and how can we improve our VO2 max? My VO2 max average over the past year has been about 53. So I honestly didn't know if that was a good number or not. It showed in my Apple Health history that that is a high number. So I went ahead and did what anyone would do. I asked ChatGPT if that was a good VO2 max for a 48-year-old man, and it is. It's a very good VO2 max. So my cardiovascular and endurance health is high. I think some of my performance can be attributed to having a high VO2 max. I'm not an expert at increasing VO2 max specifically, right? That's a Chris Hinshaw type question. I'll tell you how I've improved my overall cardiovascular health and capacity, and we'll see if that answers the question. Within Boulder Athlete, the training program that I follow, if you want to know exactly what I do every day, it's the Boulder Athlete Compete Track. I do everything on that list every day, typically 2 sessions, and throughout the week, we really touch on a wide variety of training stimulus, anywhere from short and sprinty EMOMs to longer endurance sessions. In fact, every Tuesday afternoon, it's a bit of a long endurance session that combines monostructural endurance with gymnastic stamina. It's one of my favorite days. I really enjoy that. We have short sprints, we have medium length metcons, we have long endurance sessions. We do that stuff every week, day in and day out. And I would say that one of the things that's helped me develop a high VO2 max has been consistently doing that for a very, very long time. You know, I don't really take weeks off. I don't take time off from training. I do have deload weeks built into the training. About every 4th or 5th week is a deload week to allow my body to heal and recover and dial things down for a week. Honestly, yeah, consistently training across all the metabolic pathways, short sprints, anaerobic work, aerobic work as well, all of those combined together, for me at least, to produce some pretty significant results and a pretty high capacity, regardless of what is tossed in my direction at competitions. Same person had a follow-up question about alcohol. Do I drink alcohol, and how much should we drink altogether? Well, the reality is we shouldn't drink any alcohol whatsoever. It is a poison. It is not healthy. It messes with our sleep. It messes with our body. It is not healthy in any way whatsoever. Changing positions so that the sun is out of my face. Even those that say that, there's some healthy antioxidants, you have to drink so much alcohol to get the benefits of those antioxidants that it's a moot point. It's not something that we should have, really. Now, I am not an anti-alcohol guy. In fact, I have had more than my share of alcohol. I'm actually in a process right now of dialing that back and maybe even completely out. So you asked me at a very interesting time in my life where I am just choosing to not have alcohol right now altogether. So I'll let you know how this goes. But so far, sleep has been better. I feel like it's been a better experience. And the more I learn, the more I read, the more I study about alcohol and its effects, the more I'm convinced it just should not be a part of my life. And I also have some very addictive traits, and alcohol or any substance or habit for me can be kind of a vice. So yeah. The honest answer is we shouldn't have any whatsoever. But if we choose to do so, we need to choose with our eyes open. It is going to mess up our sleep and mess up our recovery. And it is what it is. Back at the gym, the question is, do we send it on the open and quarterfinals with the larger pool taken, or one and done until semis? I mean, it's just one and done until semifinals. Yeah, the reality is, for me, the open is just a really fun experience, and I get to do that with the community, and I want to try to do the best I can in every one of those workouts, but it doesn't have huge implications on whether or not I'm going to make it to the CrossFit Games. I will make it into the top 25 for quarterfinals with whatever my open scores are. So I'm going to have fun with the open. Of course, I'm going to go as absolutely hard as I can in the open workouts, but I'm never retesting them unless I just absolutely flop on a workout. Same thing with quarterfinals. I need to make the top 200 in the world to move on to semifinals. So for quarterfinals, it's going to be, a one and done situation. It's going to be a fun weekend. I'm going to enjoy supporting all of the Boulder athletes through the quarterfinal weekend because it's going to be a new experience for a lot of people getting to record their workouts and have to map and strategize their way through quarterfinals. I mean, it's going to be a great experience. But for me, it's a one and done experience. And then semifinals, that's a very serious weekend because that is how we qualify for the games there. As far as training goes, the open workout will be part of my training for that day. It'll be a piece of the training. Quarterfinals will probably be a little bit more dedicated. The workouts tend to be a little bit more challenging. Maybe there will be a little additional training during the quarterfinal weekend, but I'm not sure yet. Semifinal weekend is devoted specifically for semifinals. So yeah, send it all on the open and on quarterfinals, but it doesn't need to be a situation where you're retesting unless you're unsure of your ability to make it to the next level. Then retest all you want. Let's go. All right, second session is done. And the question is, how many hours a week maximum should masters athletes train? I'm not sure if there's a maximum necessarily. It really depends on your fitness level, the season that you're training for. So I'll just talk about my experience and the amount of hours that I train every day. During the off season, like right now, I'm typically training 3.5, maybe up to 4 hours a day in 2 sessions. So sometimes it's much more efficient and I'm really working my way through. I can get through one session in an hour and a half and the next session in an hour. Just to be clear, you don't have to take that long to get a ton of work done. And when I qualify for the CrossFit Games and I start to move into CrossFit Games training, that's a different story. So that's basically like June, July, leading into an August competition. My training might ramp up to 4 to maybe 5 hours a day at most. And again, you can be even more optimized than that. So I would say even 4 hours a day when I'm training at maximum level for the CrossFit Games during those 5 to 6 weeks prior to that event. And that is not realistic long long-term training. That is just for that specific amount of time so that I'm peaking by the time I get to the games. So when it comes down to the question, how many hours maximum should a master's athlete train? I mean, it could be 25 to 30 hours for short seasons. For an off-season, highly competitive athlete, it could be something like 15 hours a week. And if you're just trying to stay healthy and fit as a master's athlete, you can get very healthy and fit with 6 hours a week of training easily. If I wanted to just maintain my level of fitness right now, I could just train 5-6 hours a week, but I'm still continuing to try to improve my overall fitness. So that's my answer to that. There's not a hard, fast rule on it. And you also have to take into consideration the amount of recovery and sleep a person can get. So if you're not sleeping well and you're not able to recover well, you certainly can't train that much. Each individual is going to have a subjective experience there. Some people have a 9-to-5 job, plus they train, plus they have kids, so they're not able to sleep as much or recover as much. You just have to take all of that into consideration and say, what works for me at this stage in my life, and then go with that. And you can also test it. If it's too much, your body will give you the feedback. You won't be getting stronger. You'll feel fatigued all the time. You won't be recovering if you're doing too much. And so you can just back off that if that's the case. It's time to eat some food. All right, it's the end of the day, and this is the fitness facility at the RV park where we're staying right now in Colorado. And in the summer, this is a resort. In the winter, it's kind of a ghost town. So there's only a few people here, so we have the run of the place. This is the training area. I just gave my boys a good workout, and we're gonna hit the showers, which are here. And the reason we're hitting the showers here, actually funny story, is that it's so cold outside that we actually can't keep water connected to the faucets. So we have to fill our tank, and then if we take showers, we have to empty our tanks and fill our tanks and all that stuff in the RV. And we're not guaranteed to have water when it's really, really cold this week. So we filled our tanks, we're kind of conserving water there to make sure that we have water for the long haul, and we're just taking our showers here. I wanna answer one last question. This is a question came in today, which is really cool. Do you foresee any brand new movements being introduced in the open this year? If so, any guesses? If you would introduce one, what would it be? I don't think we'll see it in the open, but if there was one that they would put in there, I think it would be dumbbell devil press, right? I don't think we'll see crossovers. CrossFit gyms in general just don't have the right ropes to do crossovers, but they do have dumbbells, and we've seen lots of dumbbells. So we'll see if that happens. If I was to introduce a movement into the open, the idea that I have is not feasible. I'd like to see something like a long run into a heavy lift. Last year we had running and burpee pull-ups, and then the second part was a heavy thruster. Super fun. It's really enjoyable to do something really hard into a heavy lift. I love doing stuff like that. I'd love to do a long monostructural effort into a lift. So if it was a long run, would be perfect. That'd be great. That's not feasible because not every gym has the ability to run, but it could be like a long row, something like 2,500 meter row or a 3K row into some sort of a max effort. I think it'd be so much fun, so hard, so challenging. It's somewhat not sexy to do something monostructural for that long. At the same time, it's just a grit effort. And I think it's really fun when you test people with just pure grit. My wife just reminded me that as far as like heavy lifts go, I'd rather see a complex than one single heavy lift. So I don't want to see like 3K row max snatch. I'd like to see a 3K row, kind of like Wadapalooza had a max snatch into a hang snatch into overhead squats as the tiebreaker. That's fun. I really like complexes because it keeps you from doing your absolute 1 rep max, but it still gives you the opportunity to do something really heavy. Like I love a 3 rep max back squat over a 1 rep max back squat or front squat or overhead squat. Those are just a little bit safer in general, but they're still just as hard, right? So those are some questions and answers. I really enjoy doing this. I'll do this again at some point in the future. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments below. And if you need a training program designed for Masters athletes by a Masters athlete myself, head to boulderathlete.com. There's a 7-day free trial. You can get to know the program there. Finally, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us support the community even more. And as always, your best days are ahead of you. Get bolder, not older. See you next time.